Oh, way too long, long overdue. It's the principal. I'm the honorable. He is, well, I think he's still the semi-pro, but is he married semi-pro? I don't know. We're going to have to get a full breakdown because Mikey, aka semi-pro, a lot has happened since the last time we've gotten together.
Yeah, I don't really know where to start. Wedding was a blur. The bachelor party, I think it happened. That was a blur. But credit to you, man. I obviously don't have any other bachelor parties that I've been getting married at to compare it to, but I think going to Cabo was the call.
Well, I was in Nashville about 2 weeks ago, and Nashville was great, and it was fine. But two things. Cabo's better, obviously. And I'm going to pat myself on the back because I did a better job than that best man of planning. I mean, there's just too much downtime, and not wrong with downtime, but too many loose ends, too many, letting people, well, what do you guys want to do? Look, this isn't a democracy. Here's the deal. Here's what we're doing. And oh, by the way, we're not going to spend any nights in the room playing cards, but that's a whole nother story.
Jesus, you guys were in the room playing cards? Like, what are you guys doing?
Well, the Bachelor was, and some of his friends. I said, I came too far to hang out in this goddamn Airbnb playing Pinochle or something. Like, we could have stayed in Humboldt County for that. I'm going to Broadway, and we're getting after it.
Yeah, save that for the retirement community. I think, number one, Joseph Fearbin, credit to him. He was a good golfer. He just never scored well. But, the guy wore sweater vests when he was in high school, okay? How do you expect to have a good bachelor party with the guy that wore sweater vests? You guys are going trap and skeet shooting. That's fine, all fun and games. But come on, dude. Like, we were watching twerking competitions.
By the way, of the skeet shooting, of the 12 people booked, only 2 made because so many were hungover. Now, my excuse wasn't hungover, but got the shaft from United, and I did not arrive till 25 hours or 24 hours. Side note, and I don't want to go down it because we could spend 3 shows on that. But flying right now is a complete, absolute disaster. And I believe you experienced that coming back from your honeymoon. But let me ask you, first off, you had a great group of guys, which was great. And the pack wasn't too big. The pack was what? There's 7, 8 of us.
It was 8 guys total because Riley didn't realize his passport had expired. Whoops. Holy shit. The guy grew up in Saudi Arabia and didn't realize he didn't have a passport. Like, you're going out of the country. The guy even tried to book a hunting trip the weekend of the wedding. Come on, Riley, get your shit together. But of the eight guys, including us two that were there, I was kind of going down my rating list here. I gotta say, D-, Chuck James. He put on the worst fucking performance of anybody.
Was he on the trip? It wasn't for his ballads. I don't even know if I remember he was there.
The only thing that saved Chuck is that the one night he went out, he went hard in the paint and he ruined his Peter Millar pants almost beyond repair, where he had, the guy is so OCD anyways. He had to wash those things twice. He got him back to wearable, but great outfit. Looked great. Bertel, I don't even know if Bertel remembered the trip.
Oh, he was definitely on the trip. I'll tell you that.
He was there. When you show up after you almost get in a fight with a bunch of fraternity guys from Ole Miss, and he shows up with a shirt on that says "Hookers and Blow," ready to rumble.
Take this from my hand and put it in your mouth.
You know what? I've been hearing that for several years now. If I keep hearing that, going forward, it's now the phrase in Scottsdale. Chuck says every time he has a beer, he goes, "Take this from my hand and put it in your mouth." Now, I think I'm going to give this the start. Besides you, you were A+. You planned everything to a freaking T, including the limo when we got off out of the airport. Finally, we had a freaking stretch limo. We're rolling. It was just straight. It was straight gangster.
With the worst champagne, I think, in the I would say America, but we're in Mexico, so. But that with the mezcal went down real smooth. We literally were not in Mexico for 6 hours when we started losing guys.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was not good. But going to the hotel, everyone checked in, hit up the Mango deck, twerking competition going on, college spring break, Jello shots. Thank God we didn't spend $800 on that twerking competition because I almost threw that guy off the stage.
Thank goodness you got beat up by the drug dealer for judging competition.
When you tell me he's got all his cash in his mom's purse, I can see why I didn't take that so well. The other two guys, the older crowd, OC, OC was solid. He had a good time just rolling down there, didn't really know anybody. But my dad having a room with Bertel for 3 nights, made it out all 3 nights. The guy was an absolute legend. He's 70 years old, playing golf, drinking with the boys, having a great time.
Dude, your
Shout
dad
out
was a
to
rock
Dad for
star.
making it.
My only comment about your dad, is still cracks me up. Day 2, I think it was, or night 2, night 1. I can't, it's all kind of a blur. We're like 1,000. That was the first night. We're like 1,000, literally 57 cocktails deep. And we're at Squid Row, and I spilled a drink on your dad. Like, it happened. It was drink 57. Okay. And he's like, hey man, you spilled your drink. And we're like, yeah, I got it. I'm sorry. And then he just wouldn't let it go. And I finally said, fuck, senior, we're 57 drinks deep. I'm sorry. It happens.
Not to mention he was in his bathing suit. Like, it's not a big
On
deal.
all fours when he's yelling at me when it happens.
Well, on all fours with the girl trying to pour shots down his throat. And I think that's when he ended up leaving. I had to walk him back and get in. And I had to trade my fake gold chain in order to get back into the place. I mean, the guy loved it. But the good thing is he came equipped. He had another one for me. Kyle Noggle, B-. Didn't make it out the first night. Didn't know Chuck couldn't handle his liquor.
I think he didn't make it out the last night either.
No, he walked around. Yeah, he walked around.
I guess none of us were exactly all-stars by night 3.
No, nobody was all-star. Evan ended up eating vegan tacos by Sunday, so that kind of dampened him a little bit. But him getting to sleep more than 4 hours because he has a kid at home, I think he was a little bit excited to.
And he had his own room, thanks to Riley.
Well, the weird thing is, I'm pretty sure Kyle and Chuck slept in the same bed the first night. They just didn't want to admit it. But Chuck waking up at 1 o'clock in the morning, sending on his WhatsApp videos of him singing Hotel California was pretty good. I think he did that the last day too. You guys were at the Cabo watching the twerking competition, and Chuck was back in his room by himself, drinking a Pacifico, singing Hotel California.
It was, by around dusk or late afternoon, things started getting a little sideways. Now, because we're big golf guys, your thoughts on Rancho San Lucas, the Greg Norman course, and do you think you would have a different view of it now, knowing what a heel Greg Norman has become in the last 4
Oh my God. You know what? This is obviously why Kyle was in, great graces, even though he didn't make it out the first night. But no, that golf course was awesome. I loved it. Normal Greg Norman courses are normally notoriously hard and semi-unfair, and a lot of people don't like to play them, just in my experience. But I mean, if you go down there, course condition A, pace of play A, I mean, there was really nobody out there except us.
Comfort stations A- only because they served hot dogs on the back and not the tamales.
Yeah, that was bullshit. The tamales on the front were kick ass. I needed it because I was trying to choke a beer down in the morning. And Chuck's like, dude, you got to get that down. I'm like, sorry, Chuck, I didn't get 10 hours of sleep. My bad. I was out till 3 a.m. with JB friggin' hanging out. So, it's like, what do you want? But I thought Kyle, shout out to him. He did a great job on that golf course. I think when we go back down there, Dub's he's building a house down there, but that's a place I would like to go with the boys and hang out for a few days and just rip some golf. I mean, it's easy to get to. Obviously you're invited. I mean, we didn't have to use Apple Maps once with you. We just walked around, went and got surf and turf. The dinner, even the first night, the dinner was good, even though we were shorthanded and the old guy thought we were hitting on his daughters. Not true.
Turned out it was creepy Evan. None of the usual suspects.
None of the usual suspects. I mean, God forbid you make eye contact with a girl who's 18. Who cares?
In Cabo.
In Cabo. I mean,
and is dressed like a hooker.
Oh, geez. Yeah. That guy was out of line. Unfortunately, we didn't want to beat the crap out of him and end up in Mexican jail, or, the CEO of the Fortune 500 company that he probably manages. It wouldn't have looked good for their
your dad took
media relations the next day. But bachelor party was legit. You roasting me during your best man speech at the wedding. Wedding was legit. There were a lot of drinks that were drank. Everybody had a good time.
Now back to the best man speech real quick. I felt bad because one of my praises, I'm going to blame Casey for yelling at me the whole time. One of the I had another praise thing in there, and it got left on the cutting room floor when it was all said and done, because I don't take notes, and I was going, I mean, trust me, I thought about what I was going to say, and then I left it, and I felt bad afterwards. I was like, shit. it went too much roast and not enough praise. I missed one of my praises. So I'm just going to go ahead and blame the nerves, the alcohol, your sister, whatever. But hopefully I wasn't too hard on you, but it was a good time. And I know the folks enjoyed it.
No, the folks enjoyed it, but I mean, for the listeners, what was the praise that you left out?
Oh, I'm going to go back and check my notes.
Yeah, right.
Save some for the sequel.
Moving on. Everything.
Wait for the wedding. The wedding was awesome.
The wedding was great. When you show up at 8:30 in the morning after you've been out drinking all night to set up everything, because long story short, we had to get all the vendors, all our own vendors in there, and you show up at 8:30 and you need 260 chairs and there's only 130 chairs and the altar didn't show up. You got to make some quick calls. So
I was nervous you were going to kill the florist when the altar didn't make it, like an hour before.
When the guy goes, yeah, we talked about it. I know you wanted it, but it wasn't in the paperwork. And I'm just going, dude, are you okay? I'm like, how quick? I'm like, listen, I want to choke this guy out, but I need something from him.
Yeah, like how do I be firm but not have this guy walk away with all the flowers too? For me, a real quick shout out, Hotel OC. Thanks, brother. That was fantastic.
Hotel OC. I mean, here's the thing. If you stay at OC's house and you're upset, there's something wrong with you.
No, he's got okay. So for look, I think that the way you knew the wedding was successful, twofold for me. One, I think the bride had a great time.
Oh man.
And I had a great time. So it was, to me, it was a win-win. It was a home run wedding. So I guess my best advice to you is it's gonna be tough to top that one. So don't do it again.
Yeah, no, we're not planning on doing it again. It was hard to hold back the tears when she was walking down the aisle. I blame it on staring directly into the sun.
Of course, someone's cutting onions up there.
Oh, jeez, yeah, it was terrible.
Come on, you had to be mildly surprised that she actually made it down the aisle. I mean, I guarantee the back of your head, you're like, shit. What if she has a moment of clarity and like is in Cabo herself by now?
I mean, Jason Hyland reminds me of that every single day. When I wake up, I see a text and he's like, "Are you still married?" And I go, "Yes, Jason. I don't know what you're thinking about while you're sleeping."
The Godfather.
But I'm glad you have my best interest at heart. At heart. Touching on another subject real quick. A lot of talk. You brought up Greg Norman. Live Golf Tour. The list is out. I was surprised by a few of the names on there.
I think we all were.
DJ getting $30 million plus equity. Big payday for him, but Paulina's not cheap. What are your thoughts on some of the guys that were on the list, and where do you think that this is going?
Okay, first off with DJ, like I am blown away. Like I've listened to all the sports talk for the last couple of days and the pundits, like, why would he do this? His lace, fucking $125 million. That's why he did it. Hello. Yeah. So I think it's cut. I mean, you're right. Paulina's not cheap. $125 million is a lot of money. And let's not forget, DJ took the $3 million after Torrey Pines and hopped a jet and went to Saudi Arabia to play instead of the Pebble Beach Pro-Am. So I don't think, look, that's why. It's that simple, right? To me, the biggest surprise actually outside of DJ, I was surprised, don't get me wrong. Surprised that he went, but I get it. Taylor Gooch. I mean, to me, Taylor Gooch is an up-and-coming rising star on the PGA. That surprised me. And like, the Lee Westwoods, the Ian Poulters, the Louis Hughes. Look, they're on the back nine of their career, and this is a chance for them to cash in. I really don't think there's big stakes waiting for them on the PGA Tour. Hell, half the time they don't even play on the PGA Tour. Where is it going? I think it's going to cause real reform in golf. I've said this from the get-go. I think, and we touched on it with Wyndham Clark, I do think they have some good ideas, and they have hit on where the PGA misses the boat, i.e. guaranteed money, not Instagram polls or who gets the most social media, but I think the guaranteed money, appearance fees are a big thing. And I think moving forward, I see a day, Mikey, where guys aren't going to Q school and then the Corn Ferry. I think the top golfers are going to get quote unquote drafted or have guarantees, because the PGA Tour is going to have to step their game up, because I think it's that David Puig guy from ASU. He's going to play in it. They're going to have to step their game up, because if you're a kid out of college, do you want to grind on the Corn Ferry or the Q school when you can seek millions? So that, and then I just want to get out one more tidbit where I'm curious to know where it's going. Like, what does this mean for the Ryder Cup? What does this mean for the majors? My hope is the majors and the Ryder Cup still represents the best golfers in the world, and I don't give a shit what tour you play on.
I agree. I had a long conversation with a guy yesterday who I know that's really, really, really tight with Gooch. And as soon as I saw it, we just texted for a while, and he kind of shed some light on it. I mean, the other guy that's going over there is James. I think it's Piot or Piot, the kid from Michigan State who won the USAM last year. He's going over, but I mean, those guys are going over there. It's 3-day events and guaranteed money, right? Like, why,
Exactly.
if you're a young up and comer, why are you not doing that? Why are you not looking at that? And we have said it for years. Mini tour golf is not something that you are meant to make a living on. And then the more that you look at it, not even is the Corn Ferry. I mean, there's guys, look at Jason Gore. The guy went back and forth for years and years and years. And finally he was, 40, and he just goes, man, I can't do this anymore. They showed that, like, man, these guys are making $125,000 a year. I'm like, yeah, well, their expenses are 60 to 80 grand,
Well, at least,
at least.
they're living in hotel rooms, RVs. I mean, like, it's not a glamorous lifestyle. Like, I get it when you're 21, 22. And don't forget, Mikey, the component with the NILs in college. This David Puig, he'll probably get $200,000-300,000 for playing in that live event, but he's not eligible for prize money, so he's still an amateur.
Yeah, I think that's, especially with the NIL money, I think personally that's going to end up ruining college sports altogether with what they're doing. I mean, because you got these guys, Saban called out Jimbo Fisher on it.
It's pro sports.
A few weeks ago. It's now turned into pro sports. You think that the Oregon States or the Washington States of the world are going to get any of these recruits, a 4 or 5-star recruit, to come play from Washington? No, they're not going to get any of that. They're all going to go to Bama, LSU, Texas, Oklahoma, USC, because that's where all the money is. Yeah. So you're basically taking an amateur sport and you're making all about the money. Plus, what are you going to do if you're an 18-year-old kid and you got $3 to $5 million in the bank, living in his house on campus? I mean, that just spells recipe for disaster. Not to mention the the sexual misconduct things are going to go through the roof from these girls that are, I mean, we've seen it. I mean, I look at Deshaun Watson. I mean, that's a whole different animal. But look at all of what college athletes have gotten in trouble with in the past. And Terrell Pryor, Ohio State. I mean, he was driving a brand new Z from this guy who had a car dealership in Columbus, Ohio, right, in order to get him to go there. Back in that
there's always been money in the game. But I agree. If you look at ratings of college sports, they've plummeted over the last few years. And I'm like, I don't believe why people don't get it. Like, if you're going to open free market, I get why Oklahoma and USC are going to try to pay the best players. I mean, look, the best receiver in the country just bailed on Pitt to go to USC. Okay, that's going to happen more and more. But look at me, the consumer. It used to be I knew that Casey Jacobson was going to be back at Stanford, and I was excited about Jason Kidd's sophomore year at Cal. You knew who these guys were, and you were ecstatic looking forward to it. That's all gone now. I don't even know. Even if a guy comes back for his sophomore year, I don't know what school he's going to be at because he's transferred. College basketball has turned into a 3-week sport. I don't know anybody who watches regular season college basketball more because it sucks because you don't know any of the products. And then the flip side is it hurts the NBA because you end up with these 19-year-old dipshits who can't play, don't know what they're doing. I don't even know where they went to college. I've never heard of the guy. Like, who's this? I've never heard of him. Whereas Tim Duncan enters the NBA. I'm familiar with them. I'm excited about it. Patrick Ewing, Steph Curry. And then to top it off, Mikey, I personally think there's a lot to be said about 18, 19, 20-year-olds through 21. You remember that age. You were probably a dipshit too. And you got to kind of figure out how things work, how to live a little. And you throw $5 million in the mix, things are going to get sideways real quick.
I said this the other day. I think they ought to take every finance major at that college and assign them to a kid who's getting some of that NIL money as their internship, and say, listen, this is how we're going to manage it. This is how we're going to do it. This is what your grade depends on. This is what you want to do when you get out of college, and you got to manage this 18-year-old kid who's got $5 million in the bank living in this house, and keep him out of trouble. You want to be a sports agent? Here you go. Here's your internship. right? But these kids that are coming out of school, like Nico Mannion, who was with the Warriors, or I don't even know if he still is with the Warriors, probably back down in the G
I think
League.
he's in Italy.
He might be in Italy, but I mean, he came out, got his money. He wasn't ready to go. There was no way he was ready to
Right.
go.
And Mikey, he's going to get some money now, but he's
Mhm.
not going to make it to the second contract. Sometimes you got to invest, you got to sacrifice a little bit. Sometimes, you plant those roots, that flower's not going to blossom for a couple of years. And I get it. When you're hungry and you're struggling to pay the PG&E bill, somebody offers you 2 million, great. Well, I mean, but look at Tim Duncan. Instead of taking 2 million to leave his sophomore year, he waits till he's a senior, graduates, and I mean, that dude probably got a couple, he probably made over $100 million, I'm sure, and was all said and done just in salary, not to even include endorsements.
Right. And you and I both know this. The difference between being 18 and 19 and 21, 22 is a big difference.
Huge.
It really is.
Well, look, the NFL does not allow guys to come into the NFL today have been out of high school for 3 years.
Mhm.
Do you think that's helped or hurt college football in the NFL?
I mean, it looks to me like it's helped it.
I mean,
same thing. Same thing with the MLB. If you decide to go to college, you cannot get drafted until after your junior year, right? Unless, I mean, we were just at our honeymoon in the Dominican Republic, and the pride that those people down there take in baseball. These kids are playing baseball on grass infield, half grass, half dirt with rocks and sticks. You don't think that those kids have an advantage? I mean, they don't have any other option to go with, right? I mean,
and they're playing for their lives.
They're playing for their lives, but when
they're trying to get out of the Dominican and get to America and get some cheese,
get some cheddar. They love fried cheese in the Dominican, by the way.
How I've never been to the DR. Yay or nay?
Yay.
Did you golf while you were there?
Big time, yeah. It was good. We did 3 excursions. We hung out at the pool a lot. I think you saw some of my tweets where I ran into a kid who played D3 ball. But yeah, I played D3 ball. Like, okay, you're drunk, grab another freaking frozen margarita and call it good. I actually ran to him about 3 or 4 days later, and he was a solid guy. He's just kind of a dipshit, but whatever. But it was good. I mean, we did some excursions. We saw the countryside. We went and did swim horses. We were on the backs of horses going through the ocean, which was pretty cool. And then the last day we did the touristy thing where we went to Sayona Island where they filmed Pirates of the Caribbean, Blue Lagoon. You're 300-400 yards out in the ocean and the water comes up to your belly button. It was freaking awesome, man. It was a little booze cruise, definitely a touristy thing, but they know that Americans are a big part, if not almost all of their economy down there.
Right.
And they treat you really well. Now, the other places, because we were obviously on the Punta Cana side, the other places, Santo Domingo and Santiago, the other 2 big cities, a little bit more culture over there. So I think we got some ins down there with some people that spent some time, know a lot of the Dominican baseball players. I think we're going to try and go back down again and go over to one of the bigger cities and kind of like eat at the local restaurants and do stuff like that. So you're not just on the resort, but when you're in a foreign country, first time by yourself on your honeymoon, you don't really want to go walking down the street with freaking, $100 bills in your pocket.
Yeah, or wearing the Rolex and lose your wrist.
Or wearing a Rolex. So, shout out to Liv, but the last thing I'll say about the Liv tour, RBC dropped Dustin Johnson like a bad habit.
Which he knew was coming. How tough is that for RBC? They've got all their billboards at their tournament with Dustin. Are they going to try to get those down in time?
Well, I mean, they got to try. They got to try because, I mean, otherwise you got a guy up there that you're not paying. I mean, what are you doing? It's free advertising for Greg Norman and the Sheiks. But
do you think the Liv survives? And what do you think the legacy will be?
I think that a lot of the guys who are going to the RBC, because the first event in London is the same weekend as the RBC. If you are a sponsored golfer by the RBC, one of your requirements is to play in the RBC events, RBC Canadian Open, the RBC event down at Hilton Head. You're required to play in those. And so I think a lot of these guys who go to Canada and miss the cut or make the cut and finish dead last and get 15 grand are going to see these guys that are these no names, Chase Koepka, for example, play 3 days over and live and cash a check for 150 to 250 grand and be like, dude, what am I doing? But this has gone back to mini tour golf, big money classic down in Florida that our boy Woody played. until those checks start cashing long term, I don't think anybody is going to be 100% convinced on it.
Okay.
I just know because everyone says, "Oh, we got sponsors, we got the backing, we got this, we got that," and until you see those checks cashing and you see it growing, I mean, those first 3 or 4 events are going to be very telling as to what's going on. I think it survives if they do it the right way. If the PGA Tour recalibrates itself the way that it should, that a lot of our guys has said that it needs to, um, maybe not. Does it end up becoming the DP World Tour and the Live Tour, right? So I don't know. I mean, we'll see after the first 3 or 4 weeks. I think they got potential.
Do
And
you think the guys on the Live should be allowed to be in the Ryder Cup and the majors?
I 100% agree. I mean, why wouldn't you want them? That's what drives your ratings, and that's what the Ryder Cup is. I mean, you're playing for your country. That's just my personal opinion off the top of my head.
Right. The Ryder Cup, you playing for your, correct me if I'm wrong, you play for your country, right? Not your tour.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Just checking.
Yeah.
I gotta ask you, you've done qualifiers and stuff. A couple friends of the sub 70 family in the pod and former guests on the show, Danny Woodhead, is going to be playing for a chance to get to the U.S. Open. So's Willie Wilcox, who we haven't had on the show yet, but was hopefully coming to Dismal. But I think it's understandable why he is not.
Well,
how good? Like, it's one thing to get through the sectional qualifiers. How hard is it to get through the last leg?
so the last leg is a sectional qualifier. The thing is, when you make it through the locals and you go to the sectionals, you're playing with pros. I mean, these guys that are here at the Memorial, they're on Sunday booking it over to Columbus and they're ripping it around, and they've played that course before. I mean, you go from teeing it up with, I hate to say it, guys like me, to you're now playing with Wyndham Clark, Cameron Tringali, Willie Wilcox, yeah, the guy that lost his fantasy league and shot 136, which I totally disagree with. I mean, dude, so one of the sectionals is at Pronghorn in Bend, Oregon, where our boy Riley Arp got put. And that course is a son of a bitch. But when I played my local qualifier there, I was an alternate, and they were going to penalize me 2 shots because my round took 6.5 hours. Well, every round took over 5.5 hours because it's an impossible course. I also had a kid in my group shoot 118, right? And so it's like, when you go there, I mean, you are playing with the pros, and these guys, they don't put up with any bullshit. They're nice dudes, but it's like, hey, like, that's their life. It's not just
it's not an event for them. It's trying to make a living.
It's trying to make a freaking living, man. And so I think Danny's going to be fine. He's got cerebral grit. It just, for him, get off to a steady start. It's a US Open qualifier. It's 36 holes. If you make a bogey, don't worry about it.
Vegas odds do you give him to be playing in the US Open?
I give him
how big of a long shot?
I give him about 25,000 to 1.
Okay.
I give him 25,000 to 1, and that's going on the generous end. The cool thing about it is that if anybody at those odds is going into it, I think Danny has got a really good chance based off his history of who he is as a player and who he is as an athlete. And I mean, the guy's a grinder, and he goes out there and he loves the game of golf. He loves sports. And I personally think he's going to do just fine.
Well, I mean, he clearly has the mental grit. That's not what's going to get him. If anything, it's just, you look over a lifetime and a body of work. He's not taking as many swings as these guys who are doing it for a living.
No, that's true. But you also look at, our boy John Peterson. He got through locals, and he's teamed it up with Davis Love III and who's the guy from Auburn, Patton Kazire. Right. So it's like, even if you're a local guy and you get through, like me, all of a sudden you're playing with these guys that got over, $30 million in career earnings, and you're going out and ripping it with them. Now, Danny, being the household name that he is, he's one of those guys that he's probably going to get a pretty good pairing no matter where he goes, because there's going to be people following him because it's the story. You're a media guy.
It's a national story.
It's a story.
Yeah.
It's a great story. And I freaking wish him well. I mean, I beat him by 7 at Pinnacle Peak, but I'm here with you.
Hey, who was counting?
but who is Pinnacle Peak's a lot harder course, I'm sure. But no, he's I really want to see Danny, really want to see Danny get through. And the guy who's actually the director of golf at Brookline, the country club, I played with him last year in my local qualifiers. His name's Kevin Rhodes. And he's also the head men's and women's golf coach at Harvard. So big Patriots fan. So if Danny gets through, I'll have to set him up with him. He can give him all the ins and outs of the golf course, which would be sick. And I mean, and Danny's got the game to do it. He's just got to stay patient, stay solid as a rock, like his legs are.
Yeah, well, I hope. Obviously, we're rooting for Danny and Willie to do great, and they will be missed at Dismal, which Mikey is right around the corner. Dismal trip number 2. Your thoughts going into what I hope is an annual pilgrimage to Northwest Nebraska?
I mean, pilgrimage, yes. Rape and pillage, possibly. More of the words that I would use, especially after last year, debauchery, however you say it. Hopefully the guys that are driving out in the RV from Illinois are listening to this and getting some good entertainment value.
And they better be documenting their entire trip on social media, because I think there is a movie in there somewhere.
No, there totally is. I mean, I just hope that Jay is not driving the RV at all.
No, their life depends on it. Like, the first rule should be Jay doesn't even get to go shotgun. You just keep him as far away from the steering wheel as possible. I feel like Niedergang would probably be a great driver, but you may never get anywhere, because I feel like he would just be la la la. Violent J is going to wreck it. I feel if the commander was driving, you'll get there quick, but you may have some road rage incidents. But if you do, you're clearly going to win because you've got a freaking Navy SEAL with you. I kind of feel like the Godfather should be driving, because it seems to me like a family road trip, and he's kind of like our dad.
I mean, he kind of is, you know, he's like your dad if you were adopted out of a really bad shelter. But I you know, and he's made that trip more times than anyone on this God-given earth would ever brag or want to do. I mean, he drives what, 8 to 10 hours every other week during the summer and goes out there. I mean, oh my God, 10 hours. I mean, it's a brutal
You're the
drive.
CEO of a company. Get a plane already. Come on.
Yeah, geez, I know.
Some
Then we
more
can all
golf
fly
clubs
on it. Got to be perfect. But going into this, I know he said the course conditions, rough winter. It's always hard up there in Nebraska. Jay, even though we already booked our flights, Jay tried to get us at a different venue, and I'm like, no. Dismal River is our home. We are gamers. We are there to drink. We're there to hang out. We're there to document some cool shit.
Have Cali
Dismal River is a place to go. Yeah, everyone's gonna be playing the same place, and you know what? I mean, no one cares about putting or the greens anyway. It's about how far.
I've got an excuse now. I love it.
I know. I know.
I can 3-putt on anything.
So I'll ask you this: we'll provide the guys as they're driving out a little bit of entertainment. You know who's going on the trip?
Yes.
The core group of guys. They have a couple newcomers. I'm hoping to interrupt first night at dinner.
Yes. Well, I know you love to interrupt people that are way bigger than you and could like rip you apart.
He's a big teddy bear. He really is. He really is. Who are you most excited to see? Not golf with. Who are you most excited to see?
You know, that's a tough one. You know, I'm gonna go with Slaw, because he's really that, you know, he had that life that I wanted to, you know, meathead, NFL football player. So, you know, Slaw probably ranks number 1. After that, you know, I was gonna say like a Blaze or a Godfather, but I saw them in LA when I was down in SoCal. I saw Niedergang, aka Gangbang, when I was in Bandon. I saw Jay when I was in Chicago. So you know what? It's the Commander. I can't wait to see the Commander, one of America's finest. You know, my grandfather's favorite person was Patton, and, you know, the Commander can be my Patton.
So I'm going to call bullshit on that answer real quick, because you picked the 2 guys that could literally kill you with their bare hands.
True. Maybe I'm a glutton for punishment.
God,
but here's the difference, Mikey.
maybe.
I say, hey, great to see you guys. Who wants a shot? What's new? Where you go, screw you. I've got a better story. Let me interrupt you.
I don't think there's going to be any of that. I think I might just go with the quiet card, and everyone's going to wonder what the hell is wrong with me.
God, no. We're going to be like, what happened to Mikey? He got married and he's lost. Well, what about you? Who are you looking forward to seeing the most? And what are you looking forward to most? And maybe something you want to add to the trip this year?
I mean, I'm going to throw this out there. I obviously saw Gang and Jay in Chicago. I saw Jay and Gang in Scottsdale. I mean, those guys are my solids. I am most excited after what has been unfolding in the last couple of days to see Blaze. Because I feel like Blaze looks at me like I'm kind of this autistic ostrich running through the middle of the plains, but I also have like a few brain cells of some good ideas that are just really fucked up to begin with, but ultimately they're good ideas. I'm really excited to see Blaze, especially after the commander is what I feel jerry-rigging the entire thing by trying to decide this from people going out there in the RV and leaving Blaze behind in Minneapolis. The guy shot net 69 yesterday.
69.
God's number. Okay, if you shoot God's number under pressure, I want you on my team.
Amen.
I also feel like Blaze is putting a firm line through the sand, saying, hey, you're not including me on your trip. I'm going to have to drive out there by myself, just like you and I are coming in from Denver. And I think that there's going to be a big chip on that team's shoulder if it turns out. Jason, on the other hand, is already trying to trade Violent J. The guy hasn't even been drafted yet.
Well, he didn't have his back, so he was over it.
Yeah, he was over it. I mean, I'm most excited to see Blaze. I am going to invest in some depends for Commander because I know he's been having some bowel issue movements lately. Nieder Gang is always, Nieder Gang, I feel like is our solid. I feel like he kind of really,
he's just that consistent rock.
He's the consistent rock, man. He's never too high, never too low. I don't trust him over 4-footer, but I know he's going to hit the fairway, right? So if he hits the fairway, we're always in it.
Yeah, well, don't ask to hit fairways on the white course, but I won't go into that at this moment.
All right.
I will say I'm going to bring some orange, though, just in case I do end up on Team Blaze. I want to make sure that I've got some orange available so I can be part of the squad. And I don't know if I own any orange, so I'm going to have to find somebody to graduate from Syracuse and rob them.
Orange and blue is what is going into my bag, and we are Team Blaze 100%. Next question. Who are you most excited and who do you want to play with the most?
Well, I would have said Danny because I didn't get to play with him on the last trip, but clearly that's not happening. And then it would have been Willie because I would love to play with an actual pro golfer. He's not coming. I think the Godfather played maybe all of 1 or 2 holes with me before he ran for the hills. My answer is Violent J Armor because he actually rode in the cart with me and he was not scared to go fireball shot for shot. The difference being I'm 2 to 3 the size of Violent J, and where I was able to manage to get the cart back to the clubhouse, Jay is no longer, I believe, allowed to drive a cart. So Jay, we'll play together, and you can ride with me, brother.
I'm okay. I think we got a little grudge match that has to happen between you and me, Gang and Jay.
Absolutely. Payback for Black Sheep.
At some either way.
And
either
I can't
way.
be that bad.
Well, we didn't get beat that, we didn't get beat that bad at those guys' home.
Well, it was 1-on-2 was the problem.
It was 1-on-2, but then when Jay passed out, they decided to call it, which I think was bullshit. Me personally, I'm most excited to play with the Godfather, Jason, because he only played a couple holes. He hit a 7 hybrid to a few feet both times. He finally untucked his shirt, which was a big deal for me. I thought that was great. But he's been talking a lot of smack, and I think it'll just be nice that here's the thing: if I shoot 77, it's exactly what everybody expected. If I go out there and whip a little 65 on him, you just exceed expectations at that.
Yeah, you're in a good spot. They're not expecting much out of your game. I believe I heard of Mr. 77 on the text chain somewhere.
If you heard it on a text chain that you were reading, I want to know what kind of app you got to do that. But I'm just saying, I'm excited to see Jason. I might have to hit him with a slow play penalty because he stands over the ball for about 2.5 minutes before he pulls the trigger. Oof. But so I got that in my back pocket too. I really want to play with Slaw because I think after 72 holes of debauchery on the last trip, I got the Shanks. I feel like I really let him down. Kenton also shot net 54 on us. But other than that, I mean, I want to play with Slaw again. You know,
Who
I hope he's hitting it over 240 now. They'll put us in some good positions. I'm not going to ride in the car with him. I just
There's
hope
not
he gets
enough
his car
room.
from last year.
He gets his own car. There's too much, not enough room in there. I hope he doesn't get any fights with prairie chickens again. And seeing as Kenton isn't coming this year, who's going to be doing the entertainment? Who's gonna sing for us at dinner? Who's going to serenade us with no Kenton Bryant?
I mean, I think Blaze has got that in the. I think Blaze has got that in the saddle. I think he's just kind
Nice,
of embarrassed to admit it
nice.
that he was part of his high school choir. Niedergang, no, he's too much of a stone cold killer. Jay doesn't know what's going on. Commander did entertain us last year with the Pledge of Allegiance.
True.
You know, so he's got a little bit of grit to him. You know, I like it. The new guys coming in, Groza and I can't remember what the other guy is.
Yeah,
But they're going to be good. I'm sure that you've done your research on them. You're going to ask them some great questions, whether they got married early or lived the NFL dream for a little while.
I'll be. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to ask questions, and then I'll let them talk as long as they want until you, of course, interrupt them. So.
Well, the only way to extend a conversation is to keep asking questions, and in order to get them is before they go on to a monologue is to interrupt them and let them go. I didn't know Slaw couldn't handle that. I'm sorry, Slaw. I feel like we've come a long way since then, and I'm really looking forward to giving you a big hug, maybe bringing you a bottle of Basil Hayden for your room or something. I'm not going to deliver it after midnight.
He's a Booker's guy. Booker's, remember him and Danny are Bookers. We need to do a little research. I'm not sure where the alcohol laws are looser, whether it's Nebraska or Colorado, but you and I definitely need to stock up on Fireball and Silver Bullets before we arrive down that goddamn 1-lane road to get to Dismal.
Well, and I just know hopefully you got a phone case cover now. You're not going to break your phone. Make sure your music is downloaded.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Hopefully I don't break my phone. But if I do, it'll probably be okay because I'll enjoy the trip more instead of being like, oh, Instagram, look at me at Dismal River. But yes, the tunes you got to bring tunes, but I got to do something. I'm a Pandora guy and I don't think I have anything downloaded. So I guess that's a Spotify. I don't know. I'll figure it out because there's no service out in Dismal River. Like
there is not. We don't have a car girl scouting report either, according to Blaze. I'm not
Callie's
really
back.
excited. Is she? I hope so. She was the best. She had the best service. I mean,
they got one of the best golf carts in America. I mean, it's a freaking like a razor designed to go 100 miles an hour on dirt roads because those two golf courses are like 3 miles apart from each other.
Dude, when you're teeing off and you see a razor coming down the middle of the fairway at 65 miles an hour with beverages, how can you not?
You see the dirt road, dust coming. It's like the beginning or end of some like movie, you know, where you see in the distance the dirt coming off the road, and you're like, "Here comes the cavalry." The Drake cavalry.
The other guy, we got to throw him in here. I don't think he listens to the podcast or care who we are, but Toothpaste. I want to see the shape that Toothpaste game is in. Hopefully, he can carry me to victory a little bit. I can just kind of ride his coattail, sneak a birdie in. Here or there, but I'm going to give, in terms of emotion, I'm going to give the edge to Team Blaze here so far because I think he's coming in hot. I think he's a little bit angry.
Chip on his shoulder.
Oh,
totally.
We're looking forward to it. I hope those guys have a safe trip out to Dismal River in the RV in the Winnebago.
I hope United gets us there on time. And I hope there's a rental car we don't have to fight anyone for to get out of the parking lot.
That was brutal last year. I mean, when you had to sprint to that guy who was trying to get the last rental car, dude, I've not seen you move that fast, and I'm hoping we don't have to see it again.
No, I was wearing the green and gold. I'm surprised I didn't pull a hammy before.
Well, the other thing is, I also believe that Willie was, after he found out he had to ride out with us, started sending letters for sponsors exemptions that week.
That's how Willie was able to get a sponsors exemption. The thought of spending 5 hours with us in a car and crushing Arby's in North Platte, I guess, just kind of turned him off.
Well, hopefully the Godfather has some pull out there. If we get in about 9:30, we can grab a steak laid, have a couple drinks before we go to bed. I hope that he's able to pull that. Maybe even the famous wedge salad.
Godfather, make that happen. Because I'm going to go, if we're there, 3 nights, I'm going to need steak twice and the pork chop on probably in between to mix it up.
Pork chop for lunch, baby.
Pork chop was
You know.
delicious. So,
You know it.
boom. All right, brother. Well, it's about time we did this, and then maybe we'll have to do a show from Dismal. We'll see how that goes. I don't know. We'll be highly inebriated. That might not be a good idea.
Well, we could probably mix that in. The teaser in the business coming up is we got some special guests coming up that have some great stories. We're hoping to get Willie on. Our other guy, he played 12 years in the major leagues, and I don't think anybody has got better stories on the road than this guy.
He wore a suit with shorts at your wedding.
He also stole the bear mascot out of a hotel in Minneapolis while drunk and carried it up to his room.
Nice. Well, I'm looking forward to those stories. I think it's going to be the, it'll be different than the Eric Hansen interview.
You know what? Poor Eric.
Well, Eric was great. I can't wait to have him on again. He said he wants another crack at it.
He wants another crack at it. You know, it was 10:30. He hadn't had his 9th cup of coffee. We were interrupting his 3-hour breakfast. We had a couple margaritas in that guy. It's gonna keep flowing, you know. So, but anyways, we will keep in touch. We will let you know when we are out at Dismal River if we decide to do a quick little 20-minute cameo out there with the boys. But until then, we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's the principal. He's semi-pro. I am the honorable. Appreciate everyone checking out the show and see some of our other stuff we've done. Wyndham Clark, Eric Hansen, lots of good stuff out there. For Semi-Pro, I'm JB Mathers. You've been listening to It's the Principal.